Yo, let's go. Congress just passed the big beautiful bill, the big beautiful bitch, the big bad bitch. And we got to dissect it to see what this bill is really about and how long it lasts, right? We need that time frame because the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act bill was just about to finish. And this just implements a lot of things moving forward. Which states get the fattest slice of the pie in the big bad bitch bill? And also how working class families can get some credits, cheaper loans, and things like that. So we're going to go through all of that today in this video. And for those that don't understand it, it's water. So I didn't do this alone. I had to get another bitch to help me read it, okay? And that bitch name is AI, okay? And you should treat AI like a bitch as well, okay? You can't just be afraid of it. Bring it in your life and let it free up some time for you. Because if you thought I was gonna read 1,000 pages, you got another thing coming. If you think anybody's reading 1,000 pages right now, you got not even the fastest speed reader is reading 1,000 pages right now to really understand this. So I've been dissecting this and letting AI dissect it, asking it a lot of these questions, prompt engineering, all this crazy shit. And I want to bring out and extrapolate the realness of this bill. So we're going to figure this out and demystify it all, right? But there's some acronyms in here, and I want you to understand what these acronyms are before we get started. So I may say SALT, S-A-L-T. What that means is state and local taxes, property and state income taxes that you could write off, okay? When I say LIHTC, litigate, LIHTC, it's low income housing tax credit, okay? And that's a federal program that finances affordable apartments, low income housing tax credits. When I say NMTC, that's new markets tax credit. That helps rehab factories, groceries, downtown hubs in low income areas. Yes, I'm reading off the screen. Do not play me out. OZ, I know what that stands for. Opportunity zones, because we spoke about that in our full share Texas breakdown, okay? Opportunity zones, you could go and see the opportunity zones on any local website, your state website, your town website, your municipal website, and they'll show you what the opportunity zones are. These are designated neighborhoods where investors can delay or cut capital gains tax. That's an opportunity zones because they're actually rehabbing it, revitalizing it, and things like that. QBI is another acronym you'll see here, these letters, and that means qualified business income, okay? So up to 23% deduction on profits from an LLC, sole proprietor, and S Corp or S Corp. So I wanted to get that down so you guys understand it. All right, so key time frames that we must understand when it comes to the Tax Cuts Jobs Act. Who named that bill? Like, because I can't say it fast. Who said Tax Cuts and Jobs Act? Now I can say it. Now it flows. But before it didn't flow. Okay, Tax Cuts and Jobs Acts, where that leaves off and where this picks up. All right, so start date is January 1, 2025. Okay, bigger standard deduction, senior bonus, deductible, car loan interest, overtime write-off. That ends in just before 2028, just before 2029. So 12/31/2028, that ends. Another key start date is January 1, 2026. That's the SALT. Remember your acronyms here. SALT, that 40K cap, estate tax shield of $50 million, 23% business income write-off. That ends 12/31/2034. This is going into the future. We probably flying cars. Well, Dubai is already doing it, but in America, we'll probably be flying cars when this part ends. So January, what's important about this SALT here, this January 1, 2026 start date for this, is where that Tax Cut Jobs Act left off right here. So starting January 1, 2026, this upcoming, it's going to extend it out to 2034. But check this out. Check this out right here. This is the biggest portion of the bill. This gets 2.2 trillion right here. This right here is the real meat and potatoes, the SALT. This right here is what President Trump was getting lobbied for, they were funding the campaign for, they were praising his name for, the elites, the rich, the 5%ers, the 1%ers was trying to get in, because this right here is the biggest window of opportunity if you are a high income, high value in terms of assets and money and moving things and estates and things like that. That's where you get the most benefit right there. We're talking about, in Big Beautiful Bill, there's $3.2 trillion that has gone into just 4 things. And we didn't even touch the energy sector. We didn't even touch infrastructure. And we did not touch defense yet. So even this part right here gets way more than defense. There's billions of dollars going into defense, but 2.2 trillion went into this part right here. And this right here was the extension of the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, which was about to end, but just restarts right now under the big, beautiful, bad bitch right here, January 1, 2026. Let's go. So from 2026 to 2029, the window there, 25% tests for 4% low income housing deals. So that will kind of close around 2029. All right, so we got the acronyms, we got the timeline. Let's go right into it and figure out the state by state winners. Which state do you live in? Where can you gain the most benefits? Because there are things that are embedded in this bill that specifically introduces rewards for high taxed states. So I just told you a clue right there. So New York, okay, California, New Jersey, Connecticut, and where I'm at right now, I'm getting the hell up out of here, though. I'm not going to reap none of these benefits because I can't stay in Maryland. I saw a big-ass bug today. I'm telling you, I didn't even see bugs like this when I was living in the swamp called Memphis. I saw some shit in the basement. I am done doing laundry down there. I am now going to the laundromat. I don't even know how to classify that thing. It looked almost like a fucking, it looked like something that they eat down in New Orleans that they get from the mud, that little thing that looks like a shrimp. I forget what it is now. You guys got to help me. You guys got to help me. All right, so why do these states win? Why do New York, California, New Jersey, Connecticut, Maryland win in this? First of all, high tax states, right? That's what they have in common. There's a couple more that might have that in common, but the SALT cap jumps to 40K, up to 40K. So homeowners in pricey counties finally deduct the full property tax hit. That's actually great news. You should be clapping and be thanking. Did you say thank you? Did you even say thank you to President Trump for this? Okay, so Brooklyn, let's give a story. I want to give a scenario so you could kind of understand it. And, you know, instead of me saying the SALT cap jumps 40K, I'm going to give you kind of a story so you could understand it in context. All right, Brooklyn teacher Angela paid $19K in property plus state taxes, but could only write off $10K before. Starting 2026, and I think New Jersey's in here too. I gotta figure this out, but let's see. Yeah, I think so. No. All right, let's go. All right, Brooklyn teacher Angela paid $19K in property plus state taxes, but could only write off $10K before. Starting 2026, she writes off the full $19K, saving $2,700 in federal taxes, enough for a used Corolla. Why she gotta get the Corolla, yo? For her kid headed to community college. Why the kid gotta go to community? Yeah, no chill with the bitch named AI, yeah. No chill. Said Angela, her kid's going to community college. She could use that money to buy that used Corolla, right? So that's what it looks like. You paid all that in property taxes. You could write it off. She only could write off a max of $10K before. Now she could write off the full $19K. Remember, the cap is $40K though. Okay, think about that. All right, let's move on. The Sun Belt. Let's go down to these states over here, or the belt there. Housing capital states, right? So Texas, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, Illinois, flash. I don't know why Illinois is in here, but Illinois is a high property tax state, okay? So let's see why they win. They win because the population-based formulas hand them the largest annual pool of LIHTC and NMTC. I'll remind you what it is. It's low-income housing tax credit and new markets tax credit. You want a story? Let's give you a story. Austin's developer Lewis in Austin, Texas, lands extra LIHTCs after the ceiling rises. He converts an old motel into 82 workforce apartments. A nurse named Jasmine moves in at $950 rent, $400 below market, thanks to the credits. So this one helps developers. It also helps actually changing things to new markets and the new markets tax credit, changing out a hotel to an apartment building, getting that rezoned and doing all what you could do. There's a lot of credits in here for developers, small developers. You don't have to be big time BlackRock, Larry Flint, putting your shit on the map, Berkshire Hathaway. You could actually do something small, pick something up and utilize those credits. Those housing capital states. All right, let's go to rural credit states, okay? Which one is going to see the most for these rural agriculture credits that's in the big bad bitch bill, okay? Why they win? There's a new one, it's section 139L, lets lenders exclude 25% of interest on farm or rural real estate loans so rates drop. Here's a story. Tennessee teacher turned farmer. Yeah, okay. Tennessee teacher turned farmer. His name is Nate. Nate buys 20 acres for a farm stay Airbnb. His rate comes in a full point lower, slicing $190, almost $200 per month off the mortgage. Guests fund the payment. Nate pockets side income. Okay, so of course, when those rates goes lower, your mortgage goes lower. That's the biggest thing. When they see those points, when you want a point off and all of this, you go to the broker and they're like giving you all these programs. Okay, we get to do a point down. They're trying to knock off these rates. When the rate's 8%, you're paying your ass for the mortgage, right? Because to get that pity, that principal, insurance, all of that, to get all of that involved in your monthly payment is no joke. And a big slice of it is paying off interest. So this is a good thing for rural credits that targets farms. You know what I mean? Targets that type of thing. All right. So average household benefit by the bucket. I'm not doing that. Let's do 8 working class wins. This is the average Joe getting up, drinking Joe. I hope they're drinking Dunkin' Donuts instead of Starbucks Joe. You understand me? All right. Let's see where this rubber meets the road with this big bad bitch. 8 stories is what I'm about to give you for the middle class income, working class family household. Copy this, duplicate it, see what you could do. If anything resonates, this is for you. All right. Mary and the senior bonus. Age 67. She's a part-time librarian. She gets an extra $4,000 extra deduction. Withholding updates nets $160 a month. Okay, so when you think about that, when you go to a new job and you do your withholdings and you say, okay, one for me, I'm single, but one for me, and go see a CPA and tax advisor for this. Don't listen to me, because fucking around listen to me, shit, you might end up on the news. Never did know. Okay, so, but there's a balance of it where you get more income every week on your paycheck versus at the end of the year. So you could balance that out. And some people are good with that. They do it 6 months. They balance it out. These are the withholdings. With this new bill, there's an extra deduction. You actually get more in, okay, from the week to week. I want it up front. There was a job and they were like, okay, do you want a bonus or do you want, no one asks you the question, but you may see where they're like, okay, you could get a 3% raise or a 10K bonus. Bitch, give me the bonus. You know why? Because you're not seeing it anyway in your damn check. It gets eaten up by taxes. But there's a special deduction, especially, and also for seniors and also just for anyone really, where you could actually withhold more, get more on your check, and at the end of the year, balance all of that out. Go find your CPA and ask them about that. Okay, Johnson adoption refund. So there's this adoption credit that's going on in the bill. 2 kids adopted, okay? They get a $5,000 refund even after 0 tax owed, okay? So they could throw that in the 529. There's a lot to do with the 529 too in this bill. So if you got the 529 popping off for the kids' education or anything like that and you letting it simmer, go to the bill and see how you could navigate because there's a sweet spot for 529s in here, especially when it comes to education and trade schools or learning AI or certifications. A lot of it doesn't, skew on just 4-year colleges, 2-year colleges, bachelor's degree. Now it's on certification. So there's a lot of shit going on with education too in the bill. All right, let's move on. Rosa's paid leave credit. She's a taco shop owner. Why AI? I don't know. I don't ask questions. All right. But Rosa, she gets a 4-week leave for a cook. She gets $600 tax credit. Job ad says we'll pay leave. What you're going to find out starting in 2026, you're going to find out that a lot of these jobs are going to be more pro work leave, parental leave, whatever leave that they could do, because they're going to get tons of credits coming back for the employer. That's what's going on here, is that now it's a perk to say you could get a week leave, 2-week leave. Don't worry, we'll foot the bill. This doesn't go against your PTO. This doesn't do that, because they get a credit. Okay, so there is a $600 tax credit for that. Let's talk about the 2 Salon daycare hack that's going to pop up. You're going to see a lot of daycare things pop up, related things now, because there's a huge fucking credit in the big bad bitch for it. All right. So it's a shared caregiver where they share for their employees to leave their kids there, hire someone, and then they both get a fucking cut. I'll tell you what it is. So $12K costs 50% credit, right? So let's say you build, you have a business and you put a daycare in the business. I'm telling you, these companies, you're going to think that they were socialist Google companies now, because there's things in the big bad bitch that's going to help them get that credit back. And that's what happens. People don't just do things just for the hell of it. What is the reward coming back to me is what they're asking. $12K cost, 50% credit, $3K tax cut per salon. So let's say you go into business with someone, okay? Now your employees get to enjoy daycare, but they're only paying $50 a week right out of their check, right? They're not paying that exorbitant amount if they go to another person. Daycare and, babysitters and all of that, it's a whole different animal when you talk about the cost of it, right? So this is actually a win-win. The salons itself have a daycare. The employees, the stylist or whatever, they pay $50 a week. Now, boom, they pay another person to recess, watch the kids, feed the kids, play with the kids, have fun, teach the kids. And guess what? The salons get a huge cut at the end of the year, a huge credit and a huge tax cut. So this may be a good thing, and maybe you see a couple businesses popped up behind this bill around daycares now. All right, so let's talk about the delivery driver. Derek's deductible car loan. So we're in this now. Up to 10K interest write-off. That's huge, because that saves over $1,100 in taxes, and it kills loan 7 months early. You could kind of like pay off. And this is for new cars here. So there is up to 10K interest write-off when it comes to this bill. Okay. Kelly, the RN's overtime write-off. Now, you heard a lot about it. No tax on overtime, all of these things. Somebody dissected it. There was a lot of, up and down. Is it cash only? If you get cash only, you're not going to claim it anyway, right? There's a bunch of people that's getting, in the service field, tips on cash. All right. But this is directly overtime, okay? And you shouldn't have to pay taxes on your cash tips. I say, you remember when Biden said, and I don't know why we didn't go in an uproar about this, when they were like, oh, we're going to go in everyone's Venmo, Cash App, and over $600, and we're going to, this was the bill to, really stick it to the 1%, stick it to the rich. And then it's like $600 you're transferring from your PayPal to your Cash App to your this, to your that, to your whatever little thing you use digitally. And it's like, who did they really get with that, right? You know what I mean? Think about it. All right. Let's talk about Malik's. Oh, we were on overtime. Okay, so Kelly, she's a RN. She has $18K overtime deducted above the line. She gets a $3,800 refund for that. 403B, she could throw it in the stash. She could go, get herself some RN, uniforms. She could do whatever she wants with that because the overtime deducted above the line, whatever overtime. So start, this thing right now is going to teach people to start keeping receipts. Start making sure you're really itemizing and deducting things at the end of the year. Make sure that you're great with your numbers. You work 40 hours. You keep your pay stubs. You just tally your own things because there is some benefit here to this bill. Let's talk about Malik's scholarship chain. Donor gets 100% credit. Student family pays 0 tax on scholarship. So I didn't get too much into that, but there is something along with the aid for scholarship, okay? Lisa's tax-free loan discharge due to disability, okay? 38K student loan wiped. No surprise, 8K tax bill. Money goes to home upgrades so she could get a ramp or something, okay? So library stacks, taco shop, hair salon, daycare, night shift nurse, we all could benefit from the big bad bill. So what do we have to do? The first thing we should do is run a paycheck calculator. Bigger standard deduction or senior bonus. File a new W-4. Don't be scared. I love the jobs that let you actually do this, like the self-service. You don't have to go contact HR for it. Send them an email. Fill out a piece of paper to update your W-4. You could go in the back end, go to your intranet page, and update the bit yourself. But you want to consult with a CPA. You want to consult with your tax advisors. Don't be like me, crazy as hell. Don't be crazy as hell. All right, another thing is, like I mentioned, track receipts, overtime hours, childcare invoices, adoption bills. Credits require paper. You don't want to get audited trying to come through the big bad bitch bill and, at the end of the year thinking that you're all ready to go and then boop, you're audited. All right. Ask lenders the magic words. Is this 139L eligible? Remember that section 139L? That's right there. That's how you get in these points reduced. That's how you get the interest loans, the things off of them. Or ask them, do you offer FHA $100 down on HUD homes? Okay, you gotta. They won't tell you this because guess what? They won't get a bigger piece of the commission if you're paying $100 down on a home. They ain't saying this. And, maybe look into NACA, NACA, if you need help. I was working with one guy, showed him a bunch of properties around Philadelphia. And then he comes back and he's like, oh, I'm going to go with NACA. And I'm like, bro, I just really showed you 100 places and you about to dip off. You know what? Dip off. And he dipped off because he could get it was 0 money down. They don't really check your credit base. You definitely have to have a good income, be able to afford it, obviously. But as far as those regulatory for FHA, it's even better than. But you do have to live. There's some stipulations, of course. So you have to live in the property for a certain amount of time. There's a lot of stipulations, but it's a program. It's an organization that does help you get into a home with lower credit rating. Okay, so because he went there, I was able to look into that and kind of help more people that needed assistance in that way. All right, so overtime write-off plus child tax credit plus scholarship credit can give you can live on 1040 now. So you want to get the checklist. You want to start early. Don't wait till next year, mid-year, and then you're trying to roll back in time to figure this bitch out. Okay, so is the big beautiful bill perfect? Not even close. It definitely is a bill that leans to high income earners, to the rich side of town. Definitely for them, especially with the estate tax and all of the stuff. They never really paid estate tax before. This one, you're not even going to even look at it because it's so high what you actually have to write off. I think it's 15 million. They're not even going to come close to that. All right, so there's a lot of things in here that's really rich leaning, but I wanted to scour it for the rest of us. I wanted to squeeze it for the rest of us because there's no need to be all upset about it, right? It is what it is. It's signed. It's already sealed. Let's go. Let's move forward. Let's figure it out. As far as the healthcare positioning, and you know what, I'm going to take out this much in Medicaid and I don't agree with that because, people really need this. People really survive off of these aids, and we're not talking the ones that can't go out to work. We're talking about the ones that really need it. So no, I don't agree with that. I feel that 2.2 trillion in that SALT portion of the entire bill that goes all the way to 2034, I think that could have been a little decreased and keep healthcare where it is. Healthcare is not in the best state as it is already, right? And another thing I was thinking, when someone interviews a lot of people, all the funds that we send out to other countries, we could be paying for our own citizens' healthcare here in America. But guess what? That's bad for business. But then you got places like Israel, who we are giving an enormous amount of money to on a yearly basis and continue to, and they got free healthcare. They don't got to worry about that. It makes me wonder, what are we doing and what are we thinking? All right, so it's not perfect, right? It shovels cash toward the top, but undefeated. Documented working class families still have legit ways to get some stuff. Bigger write-offs, refundable credits, cheaper rural loans. Listen, if you learned something today, because this been kind of hanging over your head, what's the future look like? Tap the like button, smash it, lick it. Share it with a friend that may work a lot of overtime, that doesn't know that's what's coming, pay a lot in property taxes, or live in one of the states that I mentioned. If you need links, I'm going to do a article on this and put it all out there on the website, StrizzyReport.com. So it's going to be a little more in depth for you, and you'll be able to pull out some checklists and things. So I'm going to work on that today and make it available. I'm also going to do 10 gems in this week's upcoming newsletter about how to make moves, because I think a lot of the things that you have to do here and remember I told you, is get yourself an LLC. You not having an LLC as just a working human, you don't have to own a business, right? Yet, right? So get yourself an LLC. Look at the states where you could get an LLC, form one, and let's start thinking of our life or our everyday things as a business, right? You set up a computer in your home office, and let's say you do work there and you have an LLC. You are now in business, okay? Even if you didn't make one sale. And it's time to start thinking like that before we get into the next level, because there's so many credits, there's so many things here that's available. But for the individual, not so much. For the sole proprietor with a EIN, yes. For LLC with a EIN, yes. For S Corp, yes. There's so many other things. Even if you buy and sell little thrift things, on the weekend on Facebook Marketplace, you're not doing it as you. You're doing it as your business. It doesn't have to be this big freaking venture capitalist firm and private equity firm and, a SaaS product and you got an app. And no, it doesn't have to be that. It literally could be your initials with a thing, LLC, and you start moving and thinking different and how you could deduct. You see what I'm saying? So let's think different. Maybe I'll do some more videos about that, but information is leverage, and that's what I love to give here. So move smarter all the time, and I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.